When you're ready, you can go ahead and come to a good seat on your mat. Welcome to your yoga practice. I hope tonight you will enjoy the practice. It should feel good for you. I have a yoga for mobility practice planned for tonight. So we're going to be making some large movements, some things that we've done in this class before, but we're really going to connect the movements together in the sense that all of the movements are connected anyway, everything is connected. And as a theme for tonight, I wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that everything is connected. Yoga is actually meant to be, it means yoke or union, and it's meant to be a really good study of yourself so that you can find the inner joy in yourself and remember the divine being you already are. But I was reflecting on that, and I think it's all connected. And I even was reflecting as I started my running program again. I do a Couch to 5K, and I restart it every year. I've been running for quite some time. I've not really gotten to the point where I love running, but it is an amazing, efficient exercise, and it also lets me exercise outdoors, which I like. So I started on Friday with my Couch to 5K, and it went pretty well. I was patting myself on the back until Saturday morning. And I said, oh, what happened? My legs were all cramped up. I felt it everywhere. And I was kind of laughing, thinking about that. I could get down on myself and I could say, gosh, legs and body, why don't you remember these things? We've done them so many times over the years. But I kind of gave myself a break on that. And it was fun. And I credit yoga for the fact that even though I really felt stiff and sore and I gave myself Saturday off, I got out Sunday morning and I did another run. I'm still stiff and sore, by the way. The run was a little bit slower. It was still, for me, fairly easy, but it's cool to see how day by day as I move through the practice, I'm improving. So the same thing happens with yoga. I follow somebody, an author called Anne Lamott on Facebook. I don't know if you've heard of her. She's an extremely interesting author that not only talks about the process of writing, but has all kinds of nuggets of wisdom in her writing as well. And she has a number of books out, but she has a new book out. One of the books that I own of hers is called Bird by Bird, where she talks about how you write a book and how you get into writing, but it's just filled with so much wisdom. So I thought I'd share an excerpt from Anne Lamott and her Facebook post about her latest book. I thought it was very apropos for our class, so I wrote it down. It is here for you, and this is again from Anne Lamott. She is an author, and she's talking about obsessing on the Amazon reviews of her latest book. Now, mind you, she's a very successful author, so I thought this was funny in and of itself. And here's what she says. All I can offer is me, the life I've lived, what I've seen and what I make of it all, the mistakes and healing, the reasons for hope despite what we see in the news and at the dining room table, the horrid dark shadows inside me, and the movements of grace throughout it all. Eugene O'Neill said, man is born broken. The grace of God is glue. There's a chapter in Dusk, Night, Dawn called Can You Love Me Now? It takes place at a ghastly, overlong performance where I ended up squirming and keening softly like a hostage. My new husband was sitting beside me, anxiously watching his cute new wife. He saw me, and he sees me, and he lets me see him. And that's the deal. That's the most precious gift, the scary blessing. I wrote, letting people know you too well is like the telephone company commercial with the hapless person trying to find decent reception. Can you hear me now? In any intimate relationship, our bitter, hard, screwed up places spool out over time. Our crazy inside person shows. Yeah, I'm odd, endlessly judgmental, secretly antisocial. Can you love me now? your intimates eventually see your damage, your weirdness, and your mean streak. They see how ordinary you are after all, that whatever it was that distinguished you in the beginning is the least of who you actually are. At core, I am less distinct from anyone else. Can you love me now? In addition to the pettiness, cranky self-obsession, bald spots, the tummy roll, our closest people see the slippage of our minds, the lost keys, phones, and words. Can you still love me now? Really? Like, does my family slip you a little something every month? And this begs the question, can you love you now? Because this is how we're going to save the world. Can you love the you whose stories we've all heard? Can you love the scar tissue, your annoying tendencies? Can you love it if, like me, your soul and spirit and essence and beauty come in a wet container these days, showing wear and tear and decades of funky weather? I would love you if you were here, but I'm at ease when it's not me. But the even trickier question is, can I stay off Amazon? Can I quit checking the status of my new book? And the answer is probably not just yet. All I can think about some days in these grim, bleak days of shootings and COVID, when so many are suffering so terribly, is, how's my book faring? Can you love me now? I bet you can. So that is Anne Lamott, and it's all connected. She talks about being a broken, scarred person despite being an incredibly successful author. Like the rest of us, she shares these obsessive tendencies to think about things other than bigger world problems. And as she explores her relationship with herself and her intimates, she lets them in. The same is true of you. When you are studying yoga, it's an invitation to become intimate with yourself, to really learn who you are. And that means, in truth, sometimes you get to let yourself in and see some not pretty things about yourself. But that is the point of yoga, is to accept yourself as divine anyway, and accept all of those flaws that you have, that we all have. And in accepting the flaws and loving you now, you will find you are better able to love other people as well. And when we do all of that and it's all connected, we magically connect to that sense of inner joy. That's what it's all about, finding that sense of inner joy and happiness. So the invitation today as you move through class, and this is a mobility class, so hopefully it'll feel good for you. That is the intention of class, is as you move through class with all your flubs and your flaws, and you say, wow, I don't really have the range of motion I thought I have. When your mind wanders off the mat, or you stumble in the pose, or you fall out of a balance, bring yourself back to, can you love you now? Can you love you now? So that is the invitation for class today. As you come to a seated position on your mat, I'm just going to turn to the side so you can see me. If you're sitting on a blanket, what I'd like you to do is bring yourself to the edge of the blanket, bring your groins to the very edge of the blanket, and if you can, just let the front of your groins fall off the blanket and let the back be lifted by the blanket itself. Then cross your knees at your shins, or you can open up the knees, but notice how this allows you to sit up a little more tall because you're taking the front of your sitting bones to the floor. It's called anterior rotation. So keep all of that, and as you take your fingertips next to your hips, get as skinny as you've been all day by pressing your fingertips into the mat, really grow long through the side body. It's really good for the hourglass image. Good. Keep all of that as you release your hands, roll your shoulders up towards the top of the room, back towards the back of the mat, and release them down. Your hands can come to your upper thighs. You can bring the tips of your finger and your thumb together. Tilt your chin, close your eyes, or soften your gaze. And as you begin to inhale and exhale, scan through your body. Can you love you now? Just noticing all your flaws, all the the places that are crying because you have just started a Couch to 5K again and you're feeling it in every muscle in your legs, in your body, and even in your neck. Just continue scanning through your body, maybe even scan through your mind. Notice where your mind tends to go as you're on the mat. So not to judge it, it's just to notice. You have a tendency to start going through that list of things to do. Maybe today, see if you can release it. Can you love you now? And we'll do our pranayama practice today with 3-part breathing. So we're going to make space as we breathe. We're going to breathe fully through our belly. Then we're going to expand our rib cage and then maybe even up under the collarbones. So when you're ready, begin by just taking a deep inhale in. Don't worry about it yet. And exhale, let that go. Do that again. Deep inhale in. Exhale, let that go. And this time, see if you can take a deep inhale in through your belly. Expand that through your rib cage all around and even up under your collarbones, and then let that all go. And you do that 3-part breathing a few more times at your own pace. Make it feel good for you as you begin to make space in the body, especially even space between the intercostals, the muscles between your ribs. A few more breaths in and out, and if this is too much for you, it's okay. You come back to your normal free-flowing breath. You come back to a place where you can love you now, and you don't worry about it. You are doing a yoga practice, not a yoga perfect. Couple more deep breaths in and out, and then without hurrying, you go ahead and release your 3-part breathing. Come back to your normal breathing. Just take a moment to notice the space that you've created in the body, in the mind. Can you love you now? And then when you're ready, lean on back, uncross your legs, bring your feet out in front of you. And just like we always do with this class, we're going to start with a good foot massage. I am mirroring you at the moment. You can cross your right leg over top of your left leg and rub through the sole of the foot. It's good to see everybody tonight. Maybe twist and pull each toe. Make the massage feel good for you. When you're ready, interlace your fingers in between the toes, and if you can, wiggle those fingers down to the webbing of the toes. Maybe squeeze your fingers and your toes together and just start to circle the ankle. And since this is a mobility class, maybe make really wide, slow circles. And then maybe circle in the other direction, and even notice how the circle may change shape a little bit as you switch sides. It's okay. Just notice. When you're finished circling, come back to the center, wiggle the foot back and forth. Good. Pause. Spread the fingers, spread the toes. See if you can keep that space between the toes as you take the hand away, and then you stretch the top of the foot. Really make it feel good. Resisting the tendency to sickle that foot. It's in line with the shin, and then flex it. Yeah, you're pressing the heel towards the front of the room. Good, release that. Rub through the sole of the foot again. Maybe spend a little more time in spots that you have now maybe opened up that need a little more attention. I wore heels today, so it's under the base of my toes. When you're ready, stack your thumbs one on top of the other at the base of the middle toe, and then press the thumbs up towards the base of that middle toe. So you're bringing the big toe mound, the little toe mound on either side of the thumbs. You're stretching the transverse arch of the foot. Release that, slide your thumbs out to the edges of the foot, the big toe mound, little toe mound. Pull that foot apart just a little bit and then wiggle it. And making space, creating some mobility in the feet. And then release that, clap the foot out. Waking up the parasympathetic nervous system, you can paddle it. Good. Release that and tap the sole of the foot with a gentle fist. Good. Pause, take a hold of the ankle, lean on back, shake the foot out. And then take a hold of the outer edge of the foot, hug the shin in as you begin to open the hip up. Gorgeous. Release that. Just notice, take a look at your feet. Usually for me, literally one is a different color than the other. One is warmer than the other. One really feels like it's ready to move. The other one feels cold and clammy. So let's switch to the other side as you cross that foot over the top of the other leg, the ankle, and you start rubbing through the sole of this foot. And you be a detective and you find out how different your feet are. Where are they different? Maybe you ask yourself, just out of curiosity, why they're different. It's not wrong. It's just to notice. It's just maybe to notice your habits, the way you walk, twist and pull each toe. You notice your fingers in between the toes, maybe wiggle them down so the webbing, the fingers meets the webbing of the toes. And then you squeeze the fingers and the toes, and then you gently start to circle the ankle. Wide circles, going slow. Let it feel good for you. And then switch directions, going the other way. And then when you're ready, come on back to the center. Wiggle the foot back and forth, then pause. Spread the fingers, spread the toes, take the hand away. See if you've made space between those toes, and then stretch the top of the foot as you point it towards the side. Just taking your hand on top of the foot. Feeling the stretch through your entire shin, and then flex it. Going the other way, maybe feeling a stretch out of your Achilles tendon, your calf. Release that, rub through the entire sole of the foot again. Maybe find some spots you missed previously or spots that you want to return to, because it just feels so good. Good. Stack your thumbs. Maybe your second favorite thumb is on top this time as you come to the base of the middle toe. Press the thumbs up towards the middle toe as you bring the big toe mound and little toe mound on either side of your thumbs. And then release that, slide your thumbs out to either side of the foot, the big toe mound, little toe mound, stretch the foot apart just a little bit, and then wiggle it. Mobility on this side, and then release that and clap the foot out. This is my applause section. And paddle the foot. Make a fist and tap the sole of the foot, waking it up. Parasympathetic nervous system coming to aliveness on this side. Good. Release that. Take a hold of the ankle. Shake that foot out. Yeah. And then take a hold of the outer edge of the foot. Hug the shin in as you start waking up the hip. And then you can release that down, and we are going to start our class in a standing position. So when you're ready, you come to a standing position any way that feels good for you. Coming all the way up. Taking your fingers a little bit wider than your hips. So you're in Tadasana mountain pose. Your toes are pointing forward. You're in a number 11 position, but your feet are a little bit wider than usual. Good. Take your hands behind the back of your skull and open your elbows out. And you'll notice for some of you, that means you start arching your back and bringing your belly forward. So tone the belly, lengthen the tip of the tailbone. And there may be, for some of you, a little bit of remaining arch. So you're going to close the lower rib cage down just a little bit. And then you begin breathing as you take those elbows back towards the back of the room. Maybe slide your shoulders down a little bit. These are the rhomboids talking to you. A couple deep breaths in and out. One more deep breath, and then keep your shoulders where they are. They're on your back. The tips are they're coming together, the lower tips. You're gonna reach your arms overhead, palms facing me, hands in a V. So they're in a really wide V. Maybe you reach the fingertips wide, activate the arms. So you're really reaching out to infinity. And then bring your hands back behind your skull again. Activate the elbows. Reach the arms to a wide V again. Fingertips back behind the skull. Wide V. And then you're going to take those arms and float them down towards the floor. Palms facing me, so you're keeping the shoulder blades on the back, external rotation of those arms. Good, release that. We come back to fingertips behind the skull. You open your elbows, tone the belly, lengthen the tailbone. Arms reach wide, and you're taking a V, so you're really, really reaching, going slow through that. This is the Leonardo da Vinci pose. You all seen that picture, I love that. Do that one more time at your own pace. Go slow, make it feel good. Feel your shoulder blades on your back, palms face forward, fingers wide, as you draw the angel wings on either side of you. Good, release that, shake it out. I'm gonna turn around so you can see me, but you're gonna bring your hands behind your sacrum. Your thumbs are together, and you're gonna open your elbows, yes. And for some of you, same thing happens. You start arching your back, you release the belly forward. So you're gonna zip up the front of your body. You're gonna zip up the lower rib cage and bring those elbows together. Yep, breathe in and out. Shake your head back and forth so you're not holding tension in the neck. You're working the shoulders here. Breathe. Excellent. One more deep breath in and out. Then you're gonna release those palms down to the floor like it's an upside down V. Palms face forward, really work the fingers. So don't let those fingers go to sleep. And bring them up so they're parallel to the floor. And then bring them back down. And the palms turn to the back of the room as they come behind your sacrum or up towards your mid-back. Open the elbows. Pay attention to your shoulders and your rib cage. And you again, reach your hands wide, drawing down on the shoulders. Bring the arms parallel to the floor. And then all the way back down. Then come back to your sacrum, and you do that one more time at your own pace. Go slow, make it feel good for you. Yes. Working your arms, so all kinds of energy in the arms, like your fingers are sparking out to the sides. And shake it out. We're gonna add up. So we did upper V and lower V. We're gonna add the whole motion together. We're gonna do it a couple times together. So when you're ready, your feet are wide, you tone your belly, you lengthen your tailbone, you pay attention to those lower rib cages. If you really wanna feel it, take your hands like you're holding a tray, squeeze your elbows in, and lift your lower rib cage, and you'll feel how your arms start facing forward. Now feel like you're bowing just a little bit. Yeah, there's your rib cage closed in. Keep that. Hands behind your skull. Yeah. Elbows go back. You reach the arms wide. Reach them a little bit longer and then sweep them all the way down. Yeah, they come behind your sacrum. As you bring your elbows towards one another, don't lose that rib cage closed. You reverse the motion. Going the other way. Good, you guys look beautiful. We're gonna do that 2 more times. You can go at your own pace. You do not have to do it with me. You make it feel good for you. And you notice how it feels in your body. This is working on shoulder mobility, and specifically on stabilizing your shoulders even as they move. And after you've completed one more motion, you can shake all that out, release everything out. Excellent. You're gonna step your feet a little bit wider, and we're gonna do some side stretches this time. So same principle applies. You're going to tone the belly, lengthen the tailbone, keep that rib cage closed, hands behind your skull. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, lean to the right. Good. Take your right hand to your hip. Squeeze that elbow towards the back of the room. Reach the left arm overhead. Can you come down a little bit farther? And yeah, a really, really deep side stretch. A couple deep breaths. Good, George, I see your head. Come on back to the center as you sweep that arm wide. Hands behind your head. You go the other way. That left hand comes to the hip crease to stabilize your hips so that you can reach that top arm overhead. Maybe straighten the elbow, tone the belly. And we move as we flow at your own pace. Finding the side stretch, make it feel really good for you. Going slow, maybe even seeing if you can get a little bit deeper as you move from one side to the next. We started on our right side, so we're going to finish on our left side, but I'd like you to go through one more round at your own pace. Just scanning through your body even as you're doing this. Noticing where you're holding tension, maybe where you don't need it, maybe it's in your jaw. You begin to, in this way, become a detective of your own body, a detective of your motion, your movement. Come on back to the center. We're going to do that one more time, but pause on your right side as your hand comes to your hip. Release that top arm overhead. Can you turn your gaze to look at the floor? Tone the belly. If it feels good, turn your gaze to look at the eye of the elbow. Come down a little lower. Floor. Elbow. Back to the center. Switch sides. Finding your side stretch. Really, really reaching. Make it feel so delicious on that right side. As you turn your gaze, your nose down to the floor. And then if it feels good for your neck, you turn your nose up to the eye of the elbow. Do that again. Go slow. Be kind to your neck. As you come on back to the center, sweep those hands down, maybe roll your shoulders back towards the back of the room. Go the opposite way. We're going to move through a forward bend series, and I want to show it to you, and then we're going to do it together, but I want you to be really careful. As we move through this series, sometimes people feel faint. The way you don't feel faint in doing this is before you come up, you activate your legs. So you're actually drawing energy up your legs. It's not locking your knees. It's actually using energy like you're drawing your legs up towards the midline as you lift your torso. So the forward bend series is going to look like this, and it's really important. You can even bend your knees. You go slow as you lift your torso. We're going to roll down, making space. I'm just going to show it to you. We're making space in the back body. We're going to grab a hold of the elbows. You can bend your knees a little bit. We're going to lean to the right and then lift the torso and do that again. And we'll lean to the left and lift the torso, yes. And then what's going to happen is after we've done that a few times on each side, we're going to roll down. We're going to lean to the right, lift the torso, and come all the way down. And do that again. And then we're going to shift directions. Notice I'm allowing my knees to bend. I'm just trying to give you mobility of your spine and your side body. Again, you know your body, you know you. If you get orthostatic, meaning you feel really faint as you're moving quickly from a head below your heart position to a head above your heart, then maybe this isn't the pose for you. You can go slow and you can do some tadasanas and some down dogs or some forward bends and coming back up to mountain pose. Please, please, please take care as you move through this. So come into your Tadasana mountain pose. Palms facing forward, shoulders engaged. You know what that feels like now. Good. And you're going to take your chin to your chest. And you're going to slide your chin down your chest as you roll down one vertebrae at a time. Coming all the way to the floor. Wherever the floor is for you, we don't judge whether you can touch your hands to the floor. They can be on your upper thighs, all fine. Slight bend in your knees. Grab a hold of the opposite elbows. Couple deep breaths in. And then when you're ready, roll all the way back up. Going slow. Feeling that space you've made in your spine. Lifting the chin. And then we do it again. Rolling all the way down, just like you're taking a zipper down towards the floor. Grab a hold of opposite elbows. Lean your torso to the right and then to the left. Kind of like it's the trunk of an elephant. Just lean it right and left so you can feel that motion. Breathe. Come on back to the center. Take the torso to the right, and then we begin to lift the torso up towards the sky. Elbows overhead, good. Arms come wide, and we come all the way back down. Zipping our front spine down as we unzip the back spine. Grab a hold of elbows. You lean to the right, and lift the torso again. Arms come wide. You roll all the way down again. This time we're going to go to the left. So maybe grab a hold of opposite elbows. Lean to the left. Activate the legs as you lift the torso, going slow, making it feel good for you. Arms sweep wide. And then you roll down again. Going really slow, taking your time. Grab a hold of opposite elbows, lean to the left. Activate your legs as you lift the torso. Arms reach wide. How's everybody doing? So we pause for a moment. Let your heart rate come back to normal. Maybe close your eyes, scan through your mind. Can you love you now? You're doing an amazing job. Just exploring your mobility. Let your heart rate come down. Deep breath. Another one. And this time we'll move through the entire circular motion. We're only going to do it once to the right, and then we'll come back down and we'll go once to the left. Yes? So when you're ready, Tadasana mountain pose. Chin comes to your chest as you roll all the way down. Unzip that back spine. Open it, make space. Bend your knees. Take a hold of the opposite elbows. Activate your legs. Torso comes to the right. As you lift it, sweep around to the left and come down. Pause. Excellent. Torso goes to the left. As you lift it, and you come all the way back around. And then roll your spine all the way back up. You're zipping that back spine closed. Good. Hopefully that feels good. Hopefully you feel a little bit more space in your back body. I'm just checking my notes. I want to make sure I know what I am doing. Awesome. Excellent. For this next series, you may want something to balance with. You can have a chair, you can have a wall, or you can do this freestanding. We're going to be doing a little bit of hip mobility. I'll show you with a chair, but it is not necessary by any means. Your fingertips can be on a wall if you don't have a chair. Find a place for balance. You're going to activate your right leg. Come up on the toes of the left leg. And maybe lift that left knee, flex the foot, and feel like you're drawing a rainbow with that left knee as you take it out to the left side and put it down. Again, knee lifts. You draw the rainbow, find that pot of gold down there. Ooh, wiggle your toes in it. Come back to center one more time. Draw that rainbow, so it's an arc. Yes. Next, adding up. So you can keep doing that as that knee opens out. You're drawing an arc, so that knee is lifting. Or you can circle the entire knee. So I want you to draw a circle with the entire knee so it comes behind you. Working on hip mobility, you'll feel the head of the femur in the hip socket. So if your hips are moving around, stabilize your hips as you try to only work that knee, drawing as wide a circle as you can. And you do that a few times at your own pace. You make it feel good for you. And you notice what your circle shape really is. Sometimes mine's an oval. Sometimes it's a weird egg shape. It's okay. I'm not worried about that, excuse me. Excellent. Can we switch sides? We're gonna come back to that motion, so don't forget it. We're just gonna switch sides, starting on your opposite leg. So you're gonna activate that left leg, really root into the left leg, maybe micro bend the knee as you pop the right knee forward, square off your hips, really stabilize your hips. And then you're gonna lift that right leg, dorsiflex the foot, and here comes the rainbow. It's the Skittles rainbow. And you do that a few times at your own pace. This is my rough side, so this is my more challenging side. I got stuff going on in this hip. It's okay, it's just to notice. After you've done that a few times, you can maybe explore, can I draw a circle with that knee? Yeah, so your head of the femur will move in that hip socket a little bit. You can take out the pause if you want. It's not right or wrong. To me, it just feels good to circle, especially the hip that has a little bit of a challenge. Excellent. Part B. So we're gonna come back to the original side. We were on the right side. What's gonna happen is we're gonna circle the hip and then come back to a lunge. We're gonna find our lunge. We're gonna open up that hip flexor, and then we're gonna come back to center, and we do it again. So you're gonna circle the hip, but don't cheat. The tendency is you get to the side and then you reach back. So you wanna really get that full circle and then reach back to the lunge. And you scoop and lunge. Your hands can be on the chair, they can be on your hips, they can be on either side of your front foot. Bend that back knee, step forward, and you do that a couple times at your own pace, drawing your circle with that left hip, really full circle. Yes, I love seeing people bringing chairs in. Step back to your lunge position, that back heel's lifted. You're feeling the stretch in your inner thigh, the hip flexor. And then step forward one more time at your own pace. I'm turning my chair around so we can do the other side. Excellent. Awesome. After you finish your left side, we'll move to the right leg. So you find your balance on your standing leg. You lift the right knee forward, you draw that rainbow, you take it back to a circle, you come into a lunge, taking care of that front knee, scooping and lunging, feeling that hip flexor stretch. You maybe draw the right hip bone towards the left ankle. That squares off your hips and gives you a little more stretch. And then you step forward and you repeat that whole thing again a few times at your own pace. You really want it to feel good for you. You know your body better than I do. You live in it. Can you love you now? Good. Your movements look great. You're really working on range of motion for you, so you make it feel good for you. You stretch the places you're intending to stretch. Excellent. Then when you're ready, as I can see most of you have a chair, I'd like you to go ahead and turn the seat of the chair towards you. Step your feet a little wider than hip width. Bend your knees, fingertips to the chair so you're in Malasana field hand pose. Good. You're gonna release your hands to the chair, step your right leg back. And then step it forward to the outside of that hand. Lift your hands to your heart space. Plant your hands. Left leg goes back wide. And the left foot comes forward. You lift your heart space. Yes, gorgeous. You may have to come higher and you repeat that. So you're getting a little bit more of the lizard stretch. Yes, you can feel it. Yeah, this is a good workout. As you lift your heart space, do that on each side a few times. Make it feel good for you. And then I promise I'm going to let you come to the floor after this. Going right and left. And after you've finished your last round, it means you've gone right and left an even number of times. Don't hurry. You go ahead and come to a standing position. If you're using a chair, you can move that off the mat. You can come down to a seated position on your mat, but I'd like you to sit in a Z pose. So your front shin is going to be parallel to the front of your mat. Your back shin is going to be behind you. So your knees are 90-90. For some of you, it's maybe rough. And for some of you, you may be leaning. So if you're leaning towards that front hip, whichever leg is behind, I'd like you to take that hand and reach it out to the side towards that knee and feel like somebody's drawing you towards the side. So feel how your torso lifts a little bit. Stay there. Activate your feet as you hinge forward. Hello. A little bit of hip mobility. Breathe. If this is too much, you can draw those heels in towards your midline. It's okay. Walk your hands back towards the midline. Good. This time you're going to bring your hands behind you. Bend your elbows as you lean back. Allow a little bit of a hip flexor stretch. Activate those feet, tone the belly. Good. Lift the torso. Good. Now you're going to lift the back leg. Femurs turning. Front leg. As you Z to the other side. See how I did that? It's kind of a magical thing. It's cool. So again, that back hip may be lifted. Good. So if you're leaning towards the side of front leg, I want you to reach that arm, whichever arm is parallel to your back leg, parallel, and feel like somebody's pulling you to that side of the room, and lift your torso a little bit more. Good, keep that as you bring your fingertips in front of that front shin. You can come on down, bend the elbows if you want. Breathe in and out. You can bring those heels in if you need to, if it's too much. You know you. Walk your hands back to the torso, and then you bring them behind you, so you're getting a hip flexor stretch. And be really gentle. Some of you may be able to lay fully down supine. That's not me today. I just have to notice and know that some days it's accessible to me, today it's not. Come on back to the center. We're gonna lift those knees again, they're wide, yes. And you're gonna lift the toes, dorsiflex the feet. Bring the front of your groins towards the floor. Just we did the beginning of the class. Now slide your feet forward, now they're wide, yeah. Your toes are facing the ceiling, your knees facing the ceiling. Good. You can maybe press your hips behind you to open your thighs a little bit wider if you like, only so you're not collapsing back in that lower spine. Walk your fingertips forward, long spine. You begin to walk your fingertips forward, center, breathe. Activate your feet, activate your knees. So your knees, your heels are pressing into the floor, your knees are reaching the ceiling, and the big toe mounds are pressing on a gas pedal on either side of you. Walk your hands over to the right. Sweep them center. And to the left. And sweep it center. And you get that motion going for you that lets you go from right to center, to left, to center, with control, moving slowly, feeling your body and your inner thighs opening out. Letting your mind be flexible, loving you. And then when you're ready, please come back to the center. Walk your hands back towards the midline. Turn your right palm up. Good. Slide that right palm down your right leg in the direction of your right toe. It doesn't have to get all the way there. Reach that left arm overhead, side stretch. Maybe roll the lower rib cage up towards the sky. Your gaze is up to you. You can gaze at the bottom leg or at the eye of the upper elbow. Good. Come on back to the center. Left palm turns up, reaches down the left leg as the right arm sweeps overhead. Come on back to the center. And you know what's coming next. We move through flow. So you're going to take your flow from side to side. Maybe you even let those arms move along with you. You maybe even port de bras that lower arm so it reaches towards the opposite leg. You maybe use your breathing. You maybe use your mind and notice how good this feels. And if it doesn't feel good, make it feel good for you. When you're ready, cease your motion. Good. Come all the way back to the center. Maybe take your fingertips behind your knees, bend your knees. I'd like you to come to a table position. You can put a blanket out for your knees. We're not going to be here very long. I'd like you to come into that table position, toes tucked under in the back. I'm not mirroring you at this point. You're going to take your right hand out to the side, reach it long, then fingertips to the back of your skull, just as we did at the beginning of class. Now lift your elbow a little bit higher as you lift the torso. Come back to neutral. Now take your lifted elbow and close it into the lower elbow, and then open back out. And you take that through a flow, opening the elbow and closing it, and opening and closing. Yes, looks beautiful, and you go slow and you make it feel good for you. Gorgeous. Yes. Do that 2 more times, and then I'd like you to switch sides. Taking the left elbow out, the left arm out to the left side of the room, bending the elbow, fingertips behind the skull as you lift up and close and up and close. Using your breath. Come all the way back to center. Take a cat-cow or 2 at your own pace. Go slow. Arching the spine. And arching the belly, make it feel good. Then come on back to the center. Right hand comes out to the right side, bend the elbow, fingertips behind the skull, lift that left elbow wide, and this time as you come towards the side of the mat, you're going to thread the needle, sliding that top hand past the opposite wrist. And then you come all the way back to the center and you use that flow. As you move from a lifted elbow to a thread the needle, go really slow, maybe do it 2 times, really slow, and then switch sides. So you'll bring your left hand out to the side, you'll bend the elbow, bring it behind the skull as you open your heart space, and then you thread the needle, and you pause. You feel the twist, and you do that one more time, threading the needle, giving yourself a pause, and then you're going to take an extended child's pose. Big toes together, they're untucked, knees are apart, fingertips out in front of you, reach them really wide, lift those upper arms, and see if you can take your heart space in the direction of the floor. Breathe. Let the heart space open out. Let the back open up. Good. Keep the heart space in the direction of the mat as you slide your heart space towards your hands, kind of like you're a snake slithering on the floor. You lift your right leg, left leg, untuck the toes. Take a really full cobra pose, arching the spine. Then come all the way back down to plank pose. Tuck the toes under, shift back into downward facing dog. Bend the knees, untuck the toes, knees wide, extended child's pose, heart space reaches to the floor. You slide the heart space towards the front of the mat like you're a snake slithering forward. Untuck the toes, lift up into cobra. Come all the way back down, tuck the toes under, press into downward facing dog. One more time, bend the knees. Big toes together, knees apart, extended child's pose. Heart space going in the direction of the mat. Keep it there as you slide the heart space forward. Lift the right leg, left leg, untuck the toes. Press up into cobra pose. Release cobra, coming all the way back down, tucking the toes under, taking downward facing dog. And bend your knees. Come to a seated position. And keeping your knees bent, you can lay all the way down on the mat. Make sure you have room on either side of your mat. I'm moving because I do not. Excellent. Should be your shoulders under your heart space. Your knees are bent, soles of the feet on the floor. Bring your arms to cactus pose. Breathe. Knees are facing the ceiling. Your heels are just behind your hips. Remember that V pose we did at the beginning of class? Reach your arms up into V pose. Feel shoulders on the back. You come back through cactus pose. Now take your palms towards the floor so you're in scarecrow pose. Now slide your hands to the reverse V. Come back to scarecrow. Lift your palms for cactus. Reach them overhead for V. And you go through that flow at your own pace, feeling your shoulder blades on your back, feeling the rotation of your arms in the shoulder socket. And when you've completed that action just one last time, take your hands next to your hip creases. Give your right knee a big hug. Draw it in towards your chest. Really hug that right leg. You can stay here. You can straighten the right leg up towards the ceiling. Hand behind the upper thigh as you point the foot. And then flex it. And point it again. And flex it. And point it. And draw circles with the toe. Yeah. Going slow, so it's the ankle that's moving, yes. It's not the whole leg. And then, yeah, there we go. Circle in the other way. Sorry, my fault. Good. Release that. Good. Take your right leg out to the right for Supta Padangusthasana. Good. Just opening it up, inner thigh stretch. That leg that's on the floor with the heel planted, slide it forward on the mat. Take your right leg back to the center and then over to the other side of the mat. You can stay here or you can bend the knee of that lower leg and reach around and grab a hold of the foot or the ankle. A little bit of a twist, a little bit of a stretch. If you've got a hold of that foot or the ankle, straighten the leg again. Everything comes back to the midline. Bend the knees, both soles of the feet on the floor. We're going to repeat that all on the left side. So you start with a hug of your left knee in towards your chest. You wiggle it back and forth. Let the lower back feel good on this side. You can stay here, you can straighten that left leg towards the ceiling like you're stamping your foot into the ceiling. And then from the ankle, you're going to point the foot and flex it and point it and flex it. You guys are doing great. Point it again and then use your toes to draw a circle on the ceiling, circling the ankle. And then circle in the other way. Good. Come to a pause. Dorsiflex the foot. Open the left foot out to the left for an inner thigh stretch. You can slide the right foot forward on the mat. Good. Bring that left leg back to the center and then cross it over to the other side of the mat. May not come all the way down, that's okay. You can stay here or that leg that's underneath on the ground, you can bend the knee, grab a hold of the foot or the ankle. If you've got a hold of that foot or the ankle, release the leg, straighten it, bring both legs back to the center, bend your knees, soles of the feet on the floor. You can grab a hold of both knees and roll around on your lower sacrum, your back. You can take happy baby. You can move through a flow. Bridge pose would be a great pose for you if you'd like. And when you're finished all of that, give yourself 3 big hugs, knees, chest, and chin in for Apanasana, and then make yourself comfortable for Shavasana. Don't skip Shavasana. As you find a comfortable position on your mat, allow yourself to fully melt into the mat. The entire body, feeling the benefits of the mobility practice you just did. Breathing in and out. Let go. Can you love you now? When it feels good for you, please bring small movements back to your body, going at your own pace, not being in a hurry. Maybe allowing your arms to reach fully overhead, bend the knees, roll over to one side, look into your amazing heart space. Get intimate with you. Allow yourself to see your flubs and your flaws and the way your mind wanders off the mat, and also see the beauty of you. It's there, I promise. Use the strength of your knees to draw yourself use the strength of your arms to draw yourself all the way back up to a seated position. Maybe sit with your second favorite leg crossed in front at the end of class. And just as we did at the beginning of class, take your front of your groins towards the mat. You open your sitting bones. You grow long through the side body, get even skinnier than the beginning of class. As you skinny your waist out, hands to your upper thighs, shoulders up, back, and broaden. Tilt your chin, close your eyes or soften your gaze. Tip of the index finger, the thumb lightly together. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Another deep breath in. Exhale that. The invitation as you take your yoga practice off your mat and out into the world is, as you move through life over the next week, with all your flubs, with all your flaws, when your mind wanders off the topic at hand, or you stumble and you fumble, can you love you now? Bring your hands together into Anjali Mudra prayer pose in front of your heart space. Take a deep breath in. Exhale that. Bring the corners of your mouth up to the sky. Open your eyes. Namaste. Thank you for coming to class. I hope you feel amazing. I love these mobility classes. They often feel so, so good. I have recorded this. I'm hoping to post it. So if you want to come back to this particular mobility class, it should be available on Green Umbrella Yoga. It takes me a day or so to get them up there though. So it's on YouTube, and I'll put a Facebook link to it as well. Have a great week, y'all. Thank you for coming to class. You did a beautiful job. It's always great to be here. Mwah. You're so welcome. I'm so glad. You guys were amazing. You should see yourselves. I hope you feel good.